Welcome back, everybody, to Season 2 of the Nintendo Rewind. We've been doing it for 100 episodes, and finally I was like, you know what? We gotta fix that playlist problem. Because I kept having to, like, redo the playlist every single week. It was driving me nuts. But we're here. I'm Cody Christian. I'm joined by my co-host Chris Becker. We're rewinding and recapping forever for Nintendo, actually, talking about our top 101 video games made for Nintendo consoles. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to click that like button and say hey. And if you're here on Twitch, know you're our favorite child. But before we dive in, Sixtopher, actually, how are you doing? How are you holding up, friend?
I'm holding up extremely well. You know, I'm doing okay. I'm pretty sick. I've been sick for going
days,
on
at least.
Yeah, probably since I was 9 years old. It all started. Let me tell you a tale.
Tell me a tale. Spin me a yarn.
Let me spin you a yarn. When I was a wee lad, and I was a little kid, and I would get real close, and I would go, you know what I mean? And then next thing you know,
that sounds really inappropriate. I don't know what you mean. What are you doing? What do you do when you got really close?
No, the microphone. I'm doing fine. I don't feel well. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Listen, tell me where they touched you. But anyway, no, I'm doing well. This last week has been kind of crazy around the Christian household. I had a birthday. We did some stuff on Saturday. It was a good time. The wife made a chocolate chip cookie peanut butter pie, and it was glorious. It was so freaking good. And we did dinner in. My sister got backyard pizza delivered. So big thanks to Aunt Cece. She got some pizza delivered. The boys liked it. I liked it. No, it was a good time. It was a good time. Treated myself to some Fortnite action with you on Saturday night, and
yeah.
The wife playing as Kim Kardashian. So
oh yeah. Speaking of inappropriate.
Yeah, right. Fully nude Kim Kardashian in her Skims line. As far as that goes, it was a good time. Like, it was a nice, relaxing weekend. Had a decent time, but I took the boys today to go do some Christmas shopping for Courtney, so they could get mommy some Christmas gifts and have a good time being out there and doing some stuff. Now Sierra wants to play. She wants to be Kim Kardashian in Fortnite.
She does?
Yeah, that's what she said. She says she wants to play. But no, it was chaos at the local mall, and then it was also insanity at the next store we went to. We're keeping it all secrets. She's not going to know what they got her until Christmas Day. We're doing a really good job because I'm also the worst secret keeper.
I think you told me before.
No,
I thought you said you got her a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, I got her a roto.
You got her a roto?
You can't tell her that. You can't tell her. But no, it was a good time seeing the boys get to spread some Christmas cheer and going around. But the thing is, like, my goodness, the amount of people that are out just experiencing consumerism this week is nuts. Like, I haven't been in a store at retail time in... It's been like 4 or almost 5 years. It seems like. I don't know when I was last at GameStop, but that was how long ago it was. But no, it was all good. It was all good.
I have to say something.
Say something.
I just really need to get this off my chest. I want the variant skins, right? I want the sticky bandits. I want the wet bandits. I want Kevin McAllister in Fortnite. I want all of them in Fortnite.
Oh.
Make it happen. Give us their van, their shady little van that they rob people in.
Yes, I'm totally fine with that. Get it out here. Get it out here. Get Home Alone in Fortnite for Winterfest. It needs to happen. I don't know why they aren't in there. Honestly, like it's like a no-brainer at this point. So, oh man, let me do my due diligence here. Welcome in some people in from the live chat over here on Twitch. We got Chaotic and Mnemonic Man at the top of the hour. Well before we started this show tonight. It was like before I even came down to do the pre-show with you. They were already in the chat popping off. We had CC Wire. We have Ms. Nerdwire as well. Welcome in, CC and wife. Mnemonic Man rolling in. Mel coming in saying this list better be 100% correct. You tried to say any game that Mel isn't happy about, I added it. And I just don't believe that's empirically true. But we'll have to talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, when push comes to shove, we get to these games.
Push comes to shove. We got Nerded Art up in here. Welcome in, Nerded Art Team Wildwood. And Commodore Zed all saying hey in the chat here. Thank you guys so much for popping by and coming to spend your evening with us for the kickoff of Season 2 of Nintendo Rewind. It's going to be a good time. I'm also going to thank a couple more people. First off, if you guys do not know, you can help support the show by going to NintendoRewind.com, signing up for memberships over there, or picking up any kind of merch. But we want to make sure we thank our generous producers and supporters from over at NintendoRewind.com. Again, if you'd like to directly support our content, every dollar spent on memberships and merch helps continue to produce this show. And there's even a tier that only costs $1 a month, and with it, you get a shout out right here on Nintendo Rewind Live. That said, I want to thank our glorious people, Calamity Nolan, Sierra Christian, Kiatic, and Mnemonic Man for all of their gracious support. Chris, we have a crazy, amazing, good show planned tonight. Going through some stuff. But do you have anything else you want to share before we dive into the main topic?
I'm trying to think if there was anything. Was there anything I had? Have you ever had Arby's?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Okay. I think we were on that. You know what was wild? Let me tell you something. The Vapo stick, right? I got one of those. Like, it's nice, no mess. It says right here.
The Vicks Vapo stick, yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't been feeling well. I probably sound the best I've sounded.
You really do
here right now. Like all day long, I've been coughing up storm. I had to make sure I coughed so I didn't get pneumonia. I was told if I didn't cough enough, I would get pneumonia. But then, anyway, so I got this Vapo stick, and I never really talked about it or anything. And then I mentioned it, and I went and I got it. And maybe I just mentioned it in the living room, and then later that day, while watching Hulu, there was an ad for a Vapo stick on the TV. So I don't understand. Yeah.
Are you claiming the television is listening to you?
Yes. I'm shouting at a cloud right now. Just, yeah.
There's no way the television is listening to you. It's
definitely
know? Your phone.
Put an ad on.
Tis the season to sell some vapor rub.
Maybe. Okay. Well, there's a possibility that could be true too. But did you know Jesus had a beard? I've learned quite a few things about Jesus.
How did you find this out? Was it through watching the latest Knives Out movie?
Well, I've heard about that. Because he was a carpenter. I learned. I think you told me that. And so I learned that about him. So he's a carpenter. You can say bless you anytime, kind of like a pizza bagel. And then he
yeah.
And just for the record, I'm not putting it on. I see someone saying that I was faking my illness. No, I have not felt good all day. And I finally feel better. Or not feel better, but sound better.
Sure, whatever you say, buddy.
I'm not talking anymore.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, you got a lot of more talking than we got to do here in a moment. We're going to dive into the main topic for the evening. Everybody stick with us. We'll get you right after this. This week, we are kicking off a 4-part series where we're breaking down our top 101.
Did you thank anyone?
Yeah, thank the people. Where we're breaking down our top 101 Nintendo games of all time. This week, we're covering games 101 through 75. And I feel like I need to preface all of this by saying that every single game on this list is a banger, and any one of them could have been number one in the right person's eyes. Are we going to have hot takes? Of course. Is there ones that maybe didn't make the list that you wish did? Definitively, yes. That said, this is our list, and all of these recommendations, in our opinion, are worthy. There was a moment that we almost thought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was going to make the list. We lucked out. It didn't, hey.
We lucked out.
We lucked out. It didn't. I'm sorry. I take it back. But We're going to be doing this over the next 4 episodes. So tonight's episode, again, is games 101 through game 75 of our top 101 games list. If you want to find out what is going to be crowned the number 1 game of all time, make sure you tune in every week just to kind of follow along as we're going through this. But we're going to kick it off with game number 1, and it is a little ditty. It is a... Yeah,
we're not starting at 1.
My bad. Let's flip it and reverse it. Game number 101. And it is a game that we know as Donkey Kong Arcade. Donkey Kong Arcade, the game that kind of started it all for Mario and Jumpman. This is one of those games that I think has an extreme relevance to cultural importance, as well as kind of giving birth to our favorite mustachioed mascot known as Jumpman. But I will tell you, my first experience with Donkey Kong was not the arcade version of it, but it was actually the Game Boy version of this game that later came out and came to be known as Donkey Kong 94. What about you, Chris? How do you feel about Donkey Kong, the arcade version?
I like the arcade version. I like the music. I like that annoying noise that he makes when he walks around like...
It's very Pac-Man-esque. It's very Pac-Man-esque.
Yeah. And then, of course, there was the whole Nintendo being like, well, let's use King Kong. And they were like, oh, that would be a lot of money. Let's just make Donkey Kong. And then they got sued and then won their... because they claimed that King Kong was in public domain. And so there was no real customer confusion is what they...
They're really good. They're really good with their legal battles.
Right.
We have found Nintendo, as early as the arcade days, got really good at fighting legal battles.
I mean, in the same way, you know, I'm sure they're not going to be quite... They're going to be a little bit more upset when, you know, in 2082 when Donkey Kong comes a knocking
public domain.
Public domain, yeah.
Just like Steamboat Willie. Oh man, but no, Donkey Kong Arcade, our 101st game. I have some pretty good memories of playing that game. Playing that game back in the day, in arcades, going on dates with the wife. But like I said, my first experience was with the Game Boy version of it. However, what was your first experience with it? Did you experience it in arcades? You're old enough to remember when arcades were popular and not just bar experiences.
Yeah, well,
you're old enough to remember when you could smoke in a Pizza Hut and play Pac-Man at an arcade table.
I never had that. You could smoke it. We would have to get non-smoking or smoking sections.
Oh man.
I would always, my dad smoked, but I would always, every year for like a long time for my birthday, I would wish for my dad to stop smoking. And so whenever we would go out to eat, we would always get the non-smoking sections in the store. So then he'd be like, I have to go to the bathroom. Really, he was just going outside to smoke.
My gosh. I can't fathom it. Like smoking indoors in a restaurant in front of people, like the amount of gall it takes to like where your people are eating. It's nuts.
Right.
But no, Donkey Kong Arcade, that's that. Why are we talking about smoking in a restaurant? We're supposed to be talking about Donkey Kong Arcade. That is our 101st game. That's our 101st game. Then we go into the number 101. No, my apologies. Number 100th game. I can't get my words out tonight.
You almost got there.
And this is another one that I definitely insist of being on the list. So Mel, if you're upset, please come and fight me. But it is a Game & Watch game called Octopus. This past year, I went through this phase where I was like, I'm going to play through every single Game & Watch game. And I discovered that there are actually still a lot of really solid experiences on the Game & Watch that I think need to be shouted out to an extent. And though the one, of course, being that is still on here, that is still on this list, after a lot of iteration and a lot of chit-chatting is Octopus, but specifically the Game & Watch widescreen version of it that had like the painterly color backgrounds and everything. I love Octopus. It is a complex game, but at the same time, still so simple. But it is probably one of the more complex Game & Watch games that they have out there. You play as a diver who's going down. You're trying to snag as much treasure before an octopus grabs a hold of you. The artwork is so freaking good. But I enjoy Octopus, and it is probably my favorite out of all of the Game & Watch games that has ever hit. For Nintendo. But Octopus, Chris, take it away. Tell them about Octopus. What do you want to say about it?
It's Octopus. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it other than here we are. We've got Octopus. I loved playing like the Tiger Electronic games, and mainly I enjoyed playing those mainly because of the license involved. But then when it came to like games like the Game & Watch games, a lot of those I enjoyed actually just playing them. And I just love the way they look. So yeah, definitely of all the Game & Watch games, Octopus might be my favorite.
Absolutely. We go into 99, and this one was a childhood favorite of mine. This is one that I spent a lot of time playing with my dad. And it was a lot of, it was either this or Mario Kart 64 was what we played a lot of. And there was like this phase where my dad and I played a whole lot of racing games. But Nintendo needed an answer to Twisted Metal, and this is a game that came out on the Nintendo 64, a game known as Vigilante 8 for the Nintendo 64. It was published by Activision. The thing that I like about this one is it's like post-apocalyptic kind of like 1960s vibes that you get from here. There's a whole lot of disco being thrown in there as well. But the game really kind of dripped with style in a way that like I had not really experienced from Nintendo in a long time or ever realistically. I liked the soundtrack. I really loved the character choices. I played a whole lot as the alien. Once you unlock the alien in the game, he's kind of got like this saucer. Chassis Blue was also a good one. My dad was Clyde. He liked playing a lot as Clyde, but this was just like vehicle destruction set in like the Southwest, where you kind of just drive around and try to destroy as many cars as you can in vehicular car combat. The weapons were really cool. Every single racer had their own like special unique weapon that they could get that was kind of like an ultimate attack. Like Clyde, he would shoot lightning bolts. There was a school bus that would shoot a fart cloud that as you drove through it, your vehicles would take damage, and it would also stop you from being able to move too. So being able to get shot at was a big deal. But the arenas were huge. I have an extreme fondness for Vigilante 8 that I think a lot of people don't really know much about this game, but should know about this game. And it even got a sequel that didn't really get as much love as the original, called Vigilante 8 Second Offense, and there's a reason they didn't make it anymore after that. But Chris, do you have any memories with Vigilante 8, or were you just a Twisted Metal fan growing up?
It not being called Vigilante 9 was a real missed opportunity. I think we can all agree on that. This one, so there was a game that Activision, or maybe it wasn't Activision, but Vigilante 8 is definitely a game that I have played, but like you said, Twisted Metal, I was more of a Twisted Metal person, but I tried Vigilante 8, but that was a game where you got to get other people playing with you, and anytime we had the N64 on, we were playing wrestling of any kind, really.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. It was, the N64 was a big wrestling machine in this household.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's game number 99, Vigilante 8. Mnemonic Man in the live chat says Fumes on Steam is kinda and not too unlike Twisted Metal. So if you haven't tried out Fumes, maybe that'll bring back some of those childhood memories for you. So unfortunately, I've just got Vigilante 8 to live up to. I can't find anything that's like it.
Dive into Fumes.
Maybe so. We're going to go into game number 98 on our top 101 list. And this game is for a much maligned console known as the Virtual Boy, but it is one of the best on that console. And it's a game that we have come to know and love that is called Telero Boxer. Basically, this game is like if you took real steel and jammed it into a first-person Punch-Out kind of experience. You play as a bunch of different robot cast, going through and doing fights and dodging. Graphically, this is honestly one of the more impressive experiences on that console because the way the hands and the punches work, the depth of field in this game is represented extremely well on that console. But Telero Boxer is just an interesting experiment that I wish had gotten a little bit more love and maybe made its way at a later date on a different console. It sucks that this game in particular is stuck on the Virtual Boy in the way that it is. I know that you've played Telero Boxer though, so I'm gonna kick it over to you to talk about number 98.
Any sort of Punch-Out like games I'm a fan of. Boxing games, plus the idea of like glasses free 3D. Virtual Boy did its best. But yeah, I definitely liked it, and not just being like, oh, let's pick a Virtual Boy game, but this, I actually did like it, and I was a fan. And if they were to make a new one today, I would totally be down for that too. Of course, I'd rather probably have a Punch-Out, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good game. I played it. I didn't play it when it first came out. I ended up getting a Virtual Boy later, and that was one of like the 3 games that I got, or 4 games that I got with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
that was one of my later editions when I got my Virtual Boy, which I had it, pre-owned many years later. Like I've gotten that within the last like 8-9 years. But when I bought my Virtual Boy, it came with Mario Tennis. From a friend who had it, and he didn't have any other games for it. And I was like, well, what am I going to buy? So I asked a couple of friends who were into retro games and who had played a lot of Virtual Boy, and 2 recommendations came. And then one of those 2 recommendations was Telero Boxer. It's the only game that I own complete in box for the Virtual Boy. So I have the box, the manual, and everything for it. But I was very happy with that purchase. And at the end, like, honestly, it wasn't super difficult to purchase complete in box. I think I paid like $32 for Telero Boxer. So like it's really good. And comes highly recommended at number 98 on our top 101 games list. We go into number 97, and this is a game known as Wario Land 3 for the Game Boy Color. I'm not a gigantic fan of a lot of the Wario Land games past like Wario Land Virtual Boy. Because they kind of shifted to this like Metroidvania kind of experience that didn't really resonate in the same way that like Super Mario Bros. Had for me. Or Super Mario Land, or even Wario Land 1 had resonated for me. Those were a lot more linear experiences. But when they made this shift to Wario Land's kind of current genre, especially in Wario Land 2, it became something that was definitely unique and kind of ended up having its own kind of blood in how it presented itself and its own kind of vibes. It was no longer just a Mario spinoff. These were truly Wario games. And Wario Land 3, really, really cool, unique, fun experience with going in and collecting a ton of treasures, and using enemies to give you powers, set yourself on fire, become Vampire Wario, blah, blah, blah. Insert your favorite thing from the Wario Land franchise, and it's pretty much represented here. But Chris, how'd you feel about Wario Land 3? Do you enjoy it? Is it one of your favorites? Obviously, it's on the list, so.
Yeah, I like Wario Land 3. I actually like a lot of the Wario Land games. I'll tell you what. It was like the director of Wario Land 3 also like went on to like kind of direct some of the other like Samus Returns or like the other Metroid games. He also worked on like Metroid 2.
Mhm.
So it would make sense that they kind of started to go more into like the Metroid style games. But yeah, definitely liked Wario Land 3. I like the look of it. I just love the look of Game Boy Advance games and Game Boy games.
Yeah.
And yeah, Wario Land 3, faux show.
Wario Land, the enemies in those games are always just such a trip. Like, they're terrifying. Like, they are not fun to look at in most cases. Like, the one that I think about, and I can't fully remember. I always kind of mix up the enemies from each game into the other ones because they are very similar, but I can't remember if it was in 2 or 3. But it was the horrifying cat creature. Like, I don't know if you remember that. The horrifying cat creature that just kind of floated in the sky as you're battling it. And I do believe that one's in 3. But Wario Land 3, like, one of the greatest Game Boy Color games by far, and kind of showed what that Game Boy Color palette could really do, because they always experimented with color pretty heavily in the Wario Land games, specifically. So, but that does bring us through 97. Wario Land 3. We're going to be going into number 96, and this answer is, or not answer, but this game in particular is one that is kind of twofold, like good, but on the other side of the coin is bad. And the reason being is that it did kick off a series of mediocrity in the franchise. But I do believe that this game in particular holds up pretty well. And that is New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii. New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii is one of the few games that I have memories of playing with my mother as well. So me and my dad and my mom would all play together, and oftentimes, like, my mom and dad would end up fighting each other because my mom would accuse him of, throwing her off of a cliff or bouncing on her head at inopportune times, and it would flip the other way around as much too. But New Super Mario Bros. Wii was like the first time that they ever incorporated simultaneous multiplayer Mario action on the screen. And it was a unique time. I do kind of wonder why they didn't just incorporate Wario and Waluigi into the New Super Mario Bros. Instead of giving us Yellow Toad and Blue Toad. But hey, it's totally fine. I'm not gonna hold them to that too much. Yeah. But I had such a good time with this game. It was kind of post-college for me whenever I was playing it, and I was back home. And I was playing it with my parents quite a lot. I had a good time with New Super Mario Bros. Wii. But what about you, sir?
I did. I played quite a bit of it when, when it first came out. I remember playing it, and playing actual multiplayer, going through and playing that. I played quite a bit with my children's mother. We played quite a bit of New Super Mario Bros. Wii together. And I played some by myself. But yeah, that was definitely one where I was like, oh, I like playing Mario games where multiple people are playing it together. Mm-hmm. Definitely like that, for sure.
It did kind of make me miss it, though, like when Super Mario Bros. Wonder came out and they had multiplayer, but it was all just kind of quote-unquote multiplayer, where there wasn't like a whole lot of interaction between you and the other players. And I think that was an added challenge that I enjoyed. Maybe not a lot of people enjoyed, but I liked having the ability to kind of, bounce off each other's heads and use each other for that purpose to help with some difficult platforming spots. And that was something I definitely missed from the New Super Mario Bros. Franchise. That's just not represented here today anymore, and likely will never be, because there were a lot of people who complained. I mean, Nintendo pretty much said that's why they made the change that they did. But, like I said, this game kind of kicked off a series of mediocrity where, I mean, this wasn't even the first time they used this new Super Mario Bros. Aesthetic. This was the second time they did it, and then they did like 3 more games just like it. So, I understand a lot of people's, wanting for innovation and something new, but at the same time, like the core gameplay that's here is fun and it's solid, and it is something that I would definitely recommend to anybody who's getting into Nintendo games, especially if you're wanting to play with friends or family, or maybe you have someone younger in your life that is just learning how to play video games. This is a good learning experience to kind of help them discover how games are played and help them along throughout it. So, number 96, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. We go into number 95, and this is a personal pick. It's a hot take. Look, I know it may not be anyone's favorite out there, but it is definitely my favorite. And it is a game that was published by Sunsoft in 1992, and came out on the original Game Boy. When this game launched, I don't think that many people knew about it, A, because it launched in PAL and Japan regions only. Later on came to America in a remake of sorts for the Game Boy Color, published by Limited Run. And that is a game known as Trip World for the Game Boy. I have this game in so many different form factors. I have the original cartridge. I have the Game Boy Color cartridge. I have a Yakapoo that sits up there on my shelf. But this game is one of those games that is deceptively simple. It is a world where exploration is put first, and you're spending your time just being a Yakapoo, which is the main character in the game, and learning that you can transform into flight mode, or you can transform down into a fish mode, or you can just be regular Yakapoo, and all the transformations are super cute. The soundtrack in this game is typical Sunsoft greatness. I cannot praise it enough. But most of the enemies in this game have zero desire to kill you. It is kind of crazy that there's this game where for the most part, you're going through and trying to spread peace and happiness. It's only until you get to the bosses where things start getting really, really difficult. But they're just there to check you out and not really do anything bad to you. And I love that about this game, where it just kind of allows itself to be a toy more than anything else. And I recommend this game to pretty much everyone, mainly because I am the Game Boy Color speedrun world record holder of this game. But I love this game. Have you tried out Trip World at all, Chris?
No, I haven't tried out Trip World. I watched you play it a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And that was more than enough for me. Wait, no, maybe I did. I think I had it on the 3DS.
Yes, it did come on Virtual Console as well. I totally forgot. It did come on Virtual Console on the 3DS.
I think that's when I got it. Because I was like, one thing, I loved Sunsoft, right? They did a lot of games that I enjoyed, which was it might not seem like it, but I mean, I loved the licensed games, and they did Batman on NES, Batman on Game Boy, Gremlins 2, Blaster Master on Game Boy, but then in Trip World, and so that's why I was like, I gotta pick that bad boy.
Can't forget about Gimmick. That's a lot of people say this is a spiritual successor to Gimmick in a lot of ways, too, because the physicality.
Heavily inspired by it, yeah. Seems like it anyway. But yeah, and the director of it now works on Pokemon games.
Hey. Let's go Pokemon. Oh man, but no, that is our number 95 on our top 101 list of games. We go into number 94, and this is a game that I genuinely loved. I was so excited when this got announced. It came out in the year of Mario, number 35. They did a special release, all kinds of hype for this game. This is a game known as Super Mario Maker for the Wii U. And in all honesty, I love this game more than Super Mario Maker 2. Super Mario Maker 2 did some unique things that I think were really important, but the game design portion of this game and actually sitting down and building levels on the Wii U is really unmatched with the type of screen that was on there, having capacitive touch on the touch screen and being able to try and make your courses and submit them online. The biggest problem with this game is that the install base of the Wii U was as small as it was. And so I do kind of regret this game not really getting the flowers that I would have wished that it could have gotten back at the release. But there was a lot of praise for this, and if you paid attention to the Kaizo community, there were a lot of people who kind of got their start on Mario Maker before they even jumped into Super Mario World Kaizo. But this game it's special and it's unique, and it has all the amiibo costumes, and it has crazy amount of themes and depth to it. And again, there were a lot of changes that happened with Super Mario Maker 2 that I think made the games a little less approachable and maybe lower quality in terms of the level uploads that we got as well. But I freaking love Mario Maker 1 and recommend this game to as many people as I possibly can as well. But Chris, tell us your thoughts on Mario Maker. What were your memories of it? Have you played much of this? Take it away.
Yes, indeed, indubitably. I like Mario Maker came out. Something about that touch screen. I miss. I know the touch screens we have are nicer now, but I miss those touch screens from like the DS and the Wii U. Mm-hmm. And then also this was like a shining example of the amiibo support for a game, and like everything that it had in it, like almost made me want to have all of the amiibo. Mm-hmm. And then also this was like one of like the first games that Dash really got into, and he was like designing his own levels all the time, and he would be like, here, can you play it? And then when he would get home from school, he'd be like, how many people played my level today? And then we would go on and look and see how many people played it, and he's like, oh, I gotta change, I'm gonna make a different level and see if I can make it harder, and then see who can beat it and who can't. And then he would come home and from school and be like, let's see how many people. So many people died playing this level. This is good. I'm going to keep making more hard levels like this and stuff like that. It got to the point where he would make levels that were so hard he couldn't finish them, and so he'd have me sit there, and I'd be like, "All right, you go to bed.
Fighting for
it's
your life.
bedtime, and I'll finish it before I'll." Beat the level so that you can submit it, because you had to beat the level in order to submit it online. And so I remember one level he made, and it was just like, it wasn't like difficult. It was just difficult because he was just constantly throwing these shells at you. So you basically just had to luck out that you didn't get hit by a shell. And sure enough, that's what happened. And I made it through, and the level got uploaded, and only like one other person beat the level. He was very proud of that level.
That is amazing. That is such a good story. So when this game came out, I actually did, like, when my wife and I finally were able to get pregnant with our first this was how thank you many years later, but when we finally got pregnant, this was how I shared with my parents that we were pregnant. I made a custom level that kind of went through mine and my wife's love story, and then just kind of like, they also had it to where you could record your own audio, so like you could record it with the Wii U gamepad microphone. And I said, we're going to be parents and you're going to be grandparents, is what I said in it. And my mother squealed with joy. Like, it was just kind of like a good, unique experience. And no, I'm not pregnant anymore anyway. So thank you, Nettist, for the question marks and the exclamation points. But I love this game and cannot recommend this game enough. Super Mario Maker for the Wii U, coming in at number 94. We go into number 93. And this is my favorite of the Wario Lands. We kind of talked about it a little bit beforehand, but Wario Land for the Game Boy, for the most part, that's all I ever really called it, was Wario Land. I never called it Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land. I just called it Wario Land. But this game is probably my number one most play time on a Game Boy game other than Pokemon. Just for how much time I put into this game. And part of it is like, there was a lot of stuff to collect, and this game plays a lot more closely to a Super Mario game where it's very linear course design, but there are little secrets and things hidden away and tucked away that you can go and explore and find. The goal in this game is Wario's ultimate goal in almost every experience he has, and it's make the most money you can. And the more money you have, the better a wish you can have when you make it to the end of the game, talking to the genie that you end up fighting as the main boss. Spoiler alert for this like 40-year-old game. But you get the choice based on how much money you have, what kind of house you're going to have. His ultimate goal is just to have a castle as big as Mario's. But you can end up living in anything from a tree stump to a moon base, depending on how well you do in this game. But I loved Wario Land. It's got a cool little debug mode feature where if you paused it and pressed select 16 times, you could change your powers, you could change your money, you could change your amount of lives, you could change the amount of time that you had. And it was just one of those unique experiences that I don't think that I enjoyed more than whenever I was playing this game. The one thing that I will say is Wario doesn't look like Wario in this. Like, he doesn't have the traditional, like, I'm Wario and I'm wearing a Wario hat. He has this explorer's hat on in default mode most of the time. And I was like, why can't I just look like regular Wario? That's all I really wanted, was looking like regular Wario. I got this game for Christmas. It came with the Super Game Boy, and Mario is missing. And I can tell you, out of those three, what I spent the most time on was definitely this game on the go.
Wait, what'd you get? What else?
The Super Game Boy, and Mario is missing all around the same time from my late grandmother. So like it was a good Christmas birthday month. So, Chris, tell us about your experiences with Wario Land. How do you feel about this one?
I definitely like it. I like how big everything was. Like how like Wario himself was just so much bigger than like you would see like Mario being with you just regularly. Just moving around, everything just looked fat and beefy, and I like that. I definitely feel like they must have, like, you can even tell like on the screen, right? It's called like Wario Land. They wanted to call it Wario Land, but they called it Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land in case just because, so people will be like, oh, we like Mario Land 1 and 2, so why wouldn't we get Wario Land 3? And this is like a good way to introduce this. And yeah, definitely like it a lot. And did you play this on the Game Boy or Game Boy Color?
The original Game Boy was where I played it. I didn't have a Game Boy Color for a couple of years into its birthright, but played a lot of this on the original Game Boy, and it was such a good time. The thing is, like, this game never really had like a Game Boy Color version until ROM hackers decided to do Wario Land Deluxe years later, but. I mean, even the Game Boy Color palette for it was pretty dang good with the skin tones and the green backgrounds that they did for it. So I wasn't too unhappy with my experience with it on the Game Boy. What about you? Did you play it on Game Boy or Game Boy Color?
I played it on the Game Boy. I played a lot of Game Boy, and then I got the Game Boy Color when you know what the funny thing is? There was a game called WWF Betrayal. And that was the game that pushed me over the edge that I needed a Game Boy Color. And that was the first game I got on the Game Boy Color. I got a Game Boy Color and WWF Betrayal, which is terrible. But yeah, definitely played it on the Game Boy, and then the Game Boy Color was one of those things where I had tons of Game Boy games because I was the youngest kid, so I didn't get that much screen time.
I understand.
So, but I had the Game Boy, and I could have that as long as I had batteries. But then I eventually got the charging pack. But then, so then I would have a bunch of games. So when the Game Boy Color came out, I, would load up every game on the Game Boy Color just in case. I was like, I didn't have the internet, so I'd be like, let me just see if this one does anything when you put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go to school and share with the kids whether or not it did. But
That's amazing.
It was a lot of fun. Wario Land.
Mario Land, Super Mario Land 3. You brought that up, that they had Mario Land attached to it to kind of ease people into it. And I'm like, man, like in today's marketing, like especially with movies where sometimes you have to put in like the name of a really highly acclaimed movie to convince people to come watch this other movie. But a lot of times like they end up being crappy. So if you have to preface it with like this really good series to say like this is the one, your assumption going into it is, okay, well this movie isn't that good. It can't stand on its own two legs. I would argue Wario Land could have stood on its own two legs. They were just afraid because it wasn't Mario that they weren't putting it out there, we have to put Mario at the beginning, otherwise people aren't going to buy this. I
feel like you what?
I don't know that I would have felt that way. I think I still would have bought Wario Land because I would have been really intrigued because it's leading with a name that I just barely know, I thought, I don't know, but maybe that's just like my opinion, man. But number 93, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. We go to number 92, another land game, but not a Wario Land. This game is known as Nintendo Land for the Wii U. And let me tell you guys, like Nintendo Land, oh my gosh, I had such a good time with Nintendo Land on that console. And it's like one of the few games that you will never see again because they cannot figure out how to do it on the Nintendo Switch. It is locked to the Wii U for eternity, and that breaks my heart because I really, really, really want Nintendo Land back. Specifically, like I loved the Animal Crossing minigame where you go around and you collect candies into your bags. I had a really good time with the Luigi's Mansion themed game that they had in here. There was like a single player like Metroid experience that was in this game that was awesome. But I love Nintendo Land. And when this game came out and we had it on the Wii U, I invited so many friends over to my apartment and we would just have Nintendo Land party nights pretty much every single week. It was so freaking good. And it breaks my heart that we'll never see this actually get ported or brought to a modern console ever again, because of the difficulty really getting it onto the Nintendo Switch. What are your memories with Nintendo Land? How do you feel about it? What makes it worthy of being here on this list, my good sir?
Yeah, I definitely liked it a lot. And like you said, it's one of those games that we might not see again. I guess they could do it with like kind of like how they do with other like multiplayer games, but everyone would need their own screen. And the point of it was like everyone's on one screen. Yeah, you could do it. It would just, it wouldn't have the same sort of like magic, I think, as this.
Right.
But yeah, and definitely a good launch title. Mm-hmm. I still think it should have been a pack and more people would have played it.
I would agree. Like this game is something that is unique that like I said, it's basically like going to Super Nintendo Land digitally. Like it was a full theme park area that you could go to and just kind of run around and roam around in. They had all these Nintendo themed mini games that you could go and experience. It is a unique experience that I just wish we had more of on like these traditional like modern day consoles that we have now, where we're not experimenting with two screens anymore. But I had such a good time with Nintendo Land and all the mini games that are represented on there. And like, it was also like one of the first like games that Courtney really like got into playing with me. We did Smash for the Wii U. and we did a lot of Mario Kart 8, and that was like our rotation. Whenever I wasn't working and she wasn't working, we'd be diving into that, and just really good memories. I can still go back and play it. I have the Wii U hooked up right now. I can go play it right now, but
Give it
I
a go.
don't want to have to bust out the freaking Wii U every time I want to play this game. I want to have a modern online experience with my friends since we don't have people come over anymore, you know?
Yeah. Next time I come over,
There we go.
we'll bust it out and play it in person.
Bust out some Nintendo Land for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But everybody, that is number 92 for our top 101 games list. That does bring us into number 91, and it's yet another Land video game. But this one is one that is for the Virtual Boy, and it's Wario Land Virtual Boy, released for the Virtual Boy. Surprise, surprise! As if you couldn't have guessed that. Likely the best in the series, in my opinion, in terms of Wario Land experiences. It kind of had a good blend of that Metroidvania experience that you get with like Wario Land 2, 3, and 4, with a lot of the linearity that they gave the very first entry in this series, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. That kind of built into it. Graphically very impressive, even if all you're getting is like different shades of red on the console. But like seeing the 3D and the boss fights, the way that those work, like I remember the very first boss fight, you're fighting this dude who's like swinging this chain mace at you from across the screen, and it's like popping out of the screen out at your eyeballs, face first, and you're just kind of dodging and jumping and bobbing and weaving as Wario. It's got a lot of the same treasure collection that we've come to know from Wario, gathering coins, and it's a fairly lengthy game as far as that goes too, with right around 14 worlds that you've got to make your way through with branching pathways, and you may not have the same experience twice as you're playing through it. Just like a unique Wario game that. The one thing that we can look forward to is that everybody will have the opportunity to play it if you end up grabbing a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo Switch 2 with a Virtual Boy accessory in the near future. But Chris, we talked a little bit about Teleroboxer. I know you had a Virtual Boy growing up. Did you play any of Wario Land for the Virtual Boy, and how do you feel about it?
I did. I liked it a lot. Yeah, this was probably my favorite Virtual Boy game. I was a big fan of it. I liked it. And it, like, playing this made me think, oh man, I wish it would have been so cool to see like other, like what would have what it would have been like if they had a like Mario or a Zelda game on here, just like just to see some other stuff and what they could have done with the idea of the 3D and what they did with it, But yeah, I liked it.
This was like one of the more traditional like console experiences that you could have gotten out of that. Like a lot of the other games on the Virtual Boy kind of felt like tech demos in some ways, But like when you look at Mario Clash, like that feels like a tech demo for the 3D. Or you look at Mario Tennis, which is a really good like Virtual Boy tennis game. But again, there's not a whole lot of depth of gameplay there. It's just volleying back and forth. There's no story. There's no consequences for everything. I mean, it's pick up and play. Whereas this had like an actual like storyline level progression kind of experience. This is the first game that ever gave that to me on this console. And this was also the other game that I bought when I was asking my friends, what should I get? And they said Teleroboxer and Wario Land for the Virtual Boy. And I was like, all right, bet. And so went out and got it and was super stoked with my purchase. Love this game. Unique, brilliantly designed, graphically intensive. There's a lot of good sprite work that's in this, a lot of really great frame animation that they have going on in here. Yeah. Super high frame rate. Yeah.
Going in the foreground and background, like you can see a lot of like stuff that ended up becoming like Pizza Tower and stuff like that. You could tell that they were inspired by not only this one, but just the Wario Land games in general.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was really cool.
Absolutely. I love Wario Land for the Virtual Boy. And again, it's like one of those games that like it's a must play on that console. Like it is a must play on that console. Heavily recommend Wario Land for the Virtual Boy. Coming in at 91. Our next one, Chris. I've been introducing a lot of these. I've introduced 10 of them so far. And I'm almost afraid to introduce this one where we've got it. But again, just to tell everybody, hey, like every game on this list deserves its spot and could be a number one in anyone's eyes. But I'm going to let you take it away, Chris. Let me back out on this one.
You're going to back out on number 90. So, I can say number 90 is the N64 game GoldenEye 007. It was a rare first-person, rareware, were they?
Yeah, they were rareware at the time.
Yeah. Definitely, I mean, it definitely had the single player, but I think where a lot of its popularity came was the multiplayer.
Yeah.
And just playing through the multiplayer with the split screen, the way it was set up. I just remember, I mean, we just had like when I was playing it with my friends, we would have a rule not to look at each other's screen. I
think that's where screen peeking originated, honestly, this game.
Right, yeah. Well, but then I saw people would sit there with like cardboard and like put cardboard on the screen, and then you had to stand in a certain spot so you could only see your part of the screen. And I was like, I don't know how big people's TVs were, but I mean, the TV wasn't, I had a TV, but it wasn't huge. I mean, it probably weighed a couple 100 pounds, but we played a lot of multiplayer. When we weren't playing wrestling, we were probably playing GoldenEye multiplayer. Did you play a lot of GoldenEye?
So I only played a little bit of GoldenEye. I didn't have this cartridge as a kid. I had borrowed it from a family friend and played a little bit of GoldenEye. I was really bad at the story stuff. And my dad had not yet shifted into like 3D shooters at that time. And so he, like when we would play against each other, he
turns have tabled.
Right now, that's all he plays. But when we would play against each other, I would just wipe the floor with him, and it was unfun for him. And so we ended up not playing a whole lot of that. Out of the like N64 era shooters, I think the one that I played the most of was the Donkey Kong 64 multiplayer shooter portion of that game. But he didn't have the greatest time with this. But also, like, the controls in this game were rough, right? Like they did not age well. I mean, it had like this like auto targeting aiming kind of situation, like almost kind of like hit scan, but at the same time not at all like experience. And the story in and of itself is really, really solid, but in order to get dual stick, you have to have like two controllers plugged into part 1 and part 2, and you're holding it by its middle nub the entire time, like on both controllers. It was just a weird setup to try to get like more precision. But it's an interesting game. It is a very interesting game, and I think it has a place in the pantheon of greatest games of all time, partly because of its cultural significance. 007 as a kid was kind of bad, says Nettist in the live chat as well. So maybe not everyone's favorite, but I think if we had left this off the list, I think there are a lot of people who may have mutinied and said we don't actually love Nintendo games. So, like, I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. The multiplayer in this game is on par with some of the greatest multiplayer experiences, but the actual maybe single player campaign just does not hold up in today's standard. But still good enough to make it to 90 on the list because of the multiplayer element alone. But yeah, that's my experience with 007. Didn't get to play a whole lot of it. Like I said, I was wiping the floor with my dad, and he just was unfun for him. So,
so he had enough.
Mm-hmm. We are going to go to a quick ad break going into number 89 after this. So if you're here with us and you're wondering what the rest of our next few games are going to be, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this quick break. We'll see you in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody, to Nintendo Rewind. We were on a short break where we had been talking about our top 101 games for Nintendo consoles of all time, leaving off at number 90 with GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64. Chris, you're going to be taking it up from here for the next few games, so give some introductions. Tell the people what's coming up next.
Listen, I'll tell you, we're over here at number 89, and that's on the GameCube. We got F-Zero GX. This was a combination between Nintendo and, was it Namco or Sega?
Sega.
Sega. And they made F-Zero GX and F-Zero AX. And you could even go ahead and take your memory card and go to the arcade and you could swap your times or your ghosts back and forth from the arcade to the game. And so people could try and beat your score in the arcade, the one that you had at home. What a time to be alive. But yeah, F-Zero GX on the GameCube. This is by far probably but it wasn't F-Zero on the SNES, but this was the F-Zero that I actually really got into. F-Zero.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I like this a lot. I like the way it looks. I like the movement, the speed, the way it feels. What about you? How did you feel about F-Zero GX at number 89?
So growing up, this was my first experience with F-Zero. I didn't play the SNES version of F-Zero until much later in life. I didn't play F-Zero X for the N64 until much later in life. This was my start to it. And to kick this off, this game was hard as nails for someone new to the franchise and new to the series. I was not prepared for how difficult this game was. I played a lot of Mario Kart. This is not Mario Kart by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But I loved the story mode in this game and seeing the experience of Captain Falcon trying to hunt down, Black Bull, and all the rogues that are on here and entering into this racing dystopian futures high speed murder racing course. It was insanity, and there was a lot of nuance to this game and learning how to play it appropriately and properly. I freaking love F-Zero GX and cannot tell people enough. Go check this game out. It looks beautiful, it plays well, and it is one of the best Nintendo games that you can possibly get. And it's one of the more unique experiences. We get, Fast RMX and Fast Fusion today, but if you want to know what those roots are in, it's F-Zero GX. In every stretch of the imagination, it is the game to play to kind of really experience this ultra high speed racing and having all these unique carts and being able to do kart customization and just, it's beautiful. And the courses are cool. And they did Mario Kart 8, anti-gravity mechanics well before Mario Kart 8 ever came out. So I got to give that game a ton of praise. F-Zero GX, really, really good. Coming in at number 89.
It sure is. Great game. Great, great game. Now we move on to number 88. Number 88, I believe, based on the list, this is our first game on the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2, actually. Deltarune. And Deltarune is it? It's not a sequel to Undertale, right? It's a connected to Undertale, sort of.
Yeah, Deltarune is one of those things that it is very difficult to kind of place as far as that as like whether it's a sequel, prequel, or a side story, or going in parallel.
Yeah,
and yeah. And look, I see some people protesting in the chat already, and by some people I mean Netist protesting in the live chat already because it isn't completed yet. And you know what? To be fair, he isn't wrong. The game is not completed yet. But from the experience that I've had with it so far in the first 4 chapters of this game, especially with it coming to Switch 2, day and date when the Switch 2 released, the gameplay in this is very impressive. And I have a lot of faith that the rest of these chapters that are going to come out are also going to be amazing. But Deltarune chapters 1 through 4 hit in a way for me that I did not expect them to hit after coming off of the tails of Undertale. Right, like Undertale kind of set the bar really high for that off-color, weird JRPG experiences where you're not like doing your traditional like let's just mash A and kill every enemy that comes through here. And Deltarune kind of replicated that, but did it a little bit differently and still made that kind of gameplay enjoyable. The story that they're setting up here is amazing. The visuals on it are very reminiscent of an NES, SNES era game, but the gameplay is so unique in a way that I cannot recommend this game enough. And yes, while it's incomplete right now, what is completed, chapters 1 through 4, definitely deserve to be on this list, even as highly as it is. And I make the argument for it. I'll put it out there. I'm the one who asked for it to be here. So, Chris, I've said a lot about it. You had questions about it, and then I dove into my reasons for why it's here. What are your feelings on Deltarune?
Yeah, Deltarune. I only played the chapters 1 and 2. I haven't played 3 or 4, but I enjoyed my time with it, and you are a huge fan. Big fan of Deltarune, and I, who am I to stop your heart?
Who am I to break your heart?
Yeah. Who am I to break your heart? Although I did a little bit with this list. We'll find out eventually.
We haven't made it there yet.
But yeah, Deltarune. I mean, it just says Deltarune, but really Deltarune chapters 1 through 4. But yeah, so there's that. Number 88. Number 87 is a puzzle game known as Pushmo. Pushmo. You play as Mo from The Simpsons bar. And you are doing a lot of pushing. You're doing a lot of pulling. You're doing a lot of puzzle solving. This is definitely a puzzle game through and through, and it's one of my favorite games. One of my favorite puzzle games that I've played, I guess, ever. And you were also a huge fan of Pushmo.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about Pushmo being higher than Wario Land on the Virtual Boy?
Oh, I think it's the correct choice, to be completely honest. I think it's the correct choice. Part of it is the platform that it was on. Pushmo was one of those like affordable, like digital only titles on the 3DS that was like a good time. That he had a couple of spin-offs that not spin-offs, I guess sequels that just did things differently. That came out a little bit later. You think about it like kind of like Box Boy and Box Girl, right? Like those games came out and they kind of iterated on the franchise, and Pushmo had that same thing happen as it went on. But I always think about like the initial outset of this series and Pushmo itself, about how good this game actually was when it when it launched, and I freaking love Pushmo. Like, the puzzles in it are unique. The early levels are super easy and nice and breezy to go through, and then it like evolves into this chaos of, well, how am I supposed to do that? And then it's mixed with this like platforming experience, and in some ways some of those levels are designed to a point where you can cheese them pretty easily and make it to the goal where it wants you to go to, without even like, it kind of gave me that same sense of pride that that like Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom did, where maybe I solved a puzzle but it wasn't the way that the developers originally intended, but they still allowed. I really like that about Pushmo as well, as I've kind of got that same power to be able to solve a puzzle my own way as the levels kind of developed and went on. I love Pushmo. The visuals, the soundtrack, the way the gameplay was, and the fact that it was like one of those like early affordable games on the 3DS that, you know, you could just jump into and have a really good time with, and there was a lot of meat on the bones there. So Pushmo is good. Pushmo is great. Not even just good, it's great.
I love Pushmo. Definitely love myself some Pushmo. Number 86, our first Kirby game. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was a Nintendo Switch game. Kirby went ahead, went to the Forgotten Land, and went 3D. This is where we got car Kirby, right?
Mouthful mode, car
mode. Yeah. Kirby was just sucking them down, but
excuse me?
the cars.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, mouthful mode, they introduced that. And I really enjoyed this game on the old Nintendo Switch. What did you think of Kirby and the Forgotten Land?
This is my favorite Kirby game of all time. Like, legitimately my favorite Kirby game of all time. And yeah, like, you have Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy and Kirby's Return to Dreamland that came out later, and, you know, Kirby's Planet Robobot or Triple Deluxe, and all of those are worthy contenders, right? Like, all of those are great games, but Kirby and the Forgotten Lands being his first like foray into 3D, and we don't talk about Crystal Shards, that doesn't really count. That's kind of like 2.5D. This game is beautiful, has an amazing soundtrack, did something unique for the Kirby franchise, and did give us stuff like car mouthful mode and cone mouthful mode and vending machine mouthful mode and all of the other hats that you could wear that gave you powers. And it's just charming, and I had a smile on my face the entire friggin' time I was playing this game. It was like the first like Kirby game that I spent time to 100% all the way through and do all the things in that game, even getting all the gacha, because the gameplay mechanics were so fun to just kind of go and experience. And then you get this battle mode that you can go and jump into, and like, there's a lot of praise to be heaped on this game. And honestly, like, I'm gonna be real honest here. I think we had this one ranked way too low, but it's where it landed on the list with the other games that we have here. But like, it is a great game that needs to be experienced. The co-op in this game with one other person playing as a Waddle Dee, Bandana Waddle Dee, is really good as well. And it was a good time playing along with my kids and them having a good time with it. Like, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands is good, and more people need to experience it. And the good news is there is a Switch 2 version of it that you can get, and you get an extra 12 levels, but that's not the version we put on the list because it's $20 more and you only get 12 more levels. I digress. Great game, good gameplay mechanics, addictive gameplay loop, amazing soundtrack, and the final boss is absolutely bonkers in this game. If you played any Kirby game, you understand that they give way to elder gods that you're fighting as well, so it makes sense. Biblically accurate elder gods. Like, Kirby is good. It's good. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. I heavily recommend that title.
Definitely really good. Really good. Really enjoyed it. That's why it's on our list. Then we've got number 85 on the Game Boy Color. We got Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid was basically a recreation of Metal Gear on PlayStation 1 on the Game Boy Color. And yeah, it was Metal Gear Solid on the Game Boy Color. The fact that they had it with like everything else going on in the game, and you're running around playing it, and then the fact that it was like all on the Game Boy cartridge playing that, it felt really good to be playing it, and I loved it. I just anything, you put something in handheld and I'm probably going to enjoy it more. And maybe that's what happened here, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid on the Game Boy Color. How do you feel about it?
So I gotta ask you some questions, because this is one of the ones on our list that like I don't have a whole lot of experience with. I played through like the first level of it on my Analog Pocket, somewhat fairly recently, like within the past couple of years. But I didn't dive into this one as deeply as I have the rest of the Metal Gear Solid franchise, like Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation, or Twin Snakes whenever it released on the GameCube, or Sons of Liberty and all the rest of those. This one, as far as my understanding is, this is Kojima's way to kind of bring the original NES Metal Gear Solid kind of in line with the rest, or Metal Gear games in line with the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Am I incorrect in that? Like, I don't have a whole lot of experience with this game.
Yeah, it was kind of like, what if, they took the original Metal Gear, because I think it was also known as, well, in Japan, it was called Metal Gear Ghost Babel, right? And it was kind of like they like basically remade the MSX games, like you said, and Metal Gear. It was Metal Gear Solid 2, and they added new elements. They basically took the Metal Gear Solid 2 MSX game and made it more like Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1 is what they did. And so they kind of like took some of the abilities and stuff, but then they kind of, instead of being in 3D running around, they flattened it and you're basically walking around, and like made it sort of try to feel like the Metal Gear Solid game, but taking the story and stuff, and then like you said, getting it to make sense with what happens in Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation.
Very cool. Very cool. All I know is it's visually impressive. Like, this game looks really good on the Game Boy Color, and does this top-down kind of like almost Metal Gear Solid-esque aesthetic to it in a very, very good way. I like the animations on Snake here as he's running. His bandana's flowing behind him, and you can kind of see it bouncing up and down. Really, really, really beautiful game on that console, and definitely like that's what kind of strikes me about this game and why it deserves to be here, is it kind of pushed the hardware forward in terms of what they were trying to accomplish on that console. So very impressed.
Yeah, definitely. And that was Metal Gear Solid on the Game Boy Color, number 85. Number 84, here we go again. Undertale on the Nintendo Switch. The Undertale is definitely...
This one's completed, at least.
This one's completed. You know what? This one is completed. This is one of those games that my older son Dash, he played. He was like, I'm gonna try out Undertale, and then all of a sudden it just consumed his life for quite a while, and he played through it, beat it, and then he's like, I'm gonna beat it again without, I don't even know what he did, but he was like, he needs to play through it again and not get into any fights or something like that, or not kill anyone or something. I don't know what he had to do. Pacifist mode, yes, that's what it was, and he had to do that. And this is, shout out to Toby Fox joint, and definitely, you can definitely tell that Toby Fox was quite a fan of Earthbound. What do you think of Undertale? Are you a fan? Have you heard of this game?
I have lived, loved, and breathed this game for a good long time. I did not buy it at launch when it was on PC. It was gifted to me actually from a coworker back in the day whenever it had launched on PC. And I remember I played through the first level of it. I didn't understand what I was doing at all. Like, I had zero clue what I was doing in this game whenever I originally played through it. And I remember she asked me, how I enjoyed what I played of it. And I said, I really liked it. And I said, the fights were a little bit difficult. And she goes, what fights? Immediately, she says that to me, and I go, what do you mean, what fights? The fights that you get into. And she's like, what did you do to Goat Mom? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What did I do to Goat Mom? We got in a fight and I killed her. And she goes, you killed Goat Mom? And I was like, what? Am I not supposed to do that? Like, it's like, in my mind, like, that's what video games were. You get in fights, you kill the enemy, you move on. I did not realize the mistake that I made. And so it wasn't until like after I realized that mistake, I was like, I got to replay through all that again just to kind of fix my problem. And then found out that you can't just do that unless you delete like a specific file in like the game's BIOS, whatever, blah, 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 going onto your PC. So I ended up not playing this game until it released on Switch. And when it released on Switch and I played through it, I remembered my mistake that I made, and it was such a cool, unique experience just to kind of go through and not have to fight anyone again. You know, there's a similar praise that I did with Deltarune, and this praise kind of gets lumped onto it as this is the originator of that kind of experience. I love Undertale. I love the soundtrack. I love the story. The writing is a little bit twee, not gonna lie. Like it's a little bit too cutesy at times, but I think that contributes to the overall emotion and feeling that you get with this game, and kind of just like that realization at the end, and it's kind of summed up best when you're looking in the mirror at the end, and you click on the mirror inside of Toriel's home on your like victory lap, and it says that even after all this time, it's still you. And like you get the chance to be an actual hero rather than just like a monster defeating person that just kind of goes through and kills everything. Now, granted, when I streamed this, I did do the pacifist route, the neutral route, and then the genocide route. And my gosh, like the genocide route makes you feel really, really bad. And I appreciate that there are story elements that are there based on your actions with the characters that actually affect how this game goes. Good game, and will hold a special place in my heart in the pantheon of Nintendo games for a long time. And on top of that, there's a Nintendo Switch exclusive boss that you can go and fight if you get the Nintendo Switch version, which is the version that we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's true. There is. Did you beat that on stream?
I did not beat that on stream. I had played against that boss off stream years prior to me actually ever streaming it. I ended up doing the PC version on stream whenever I played it. So
yes, that was number 84. All right, number 83, we've got Tetris on the Game Boy. Tetris Game Boy launch title. This is maybe it's not. I was gonna say, is this our first launch title? No, it's not. Nintendo Land was on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tetris pack-in for the Game Boy.
Donkey Kong Arcade was on there. It's a launch title for the arcade.
That's There was no such thing as arcades until Donkey Kong came out. But yeah, I played a lot of this. Tetris Fever. Did you play a lot of Tetris on the Game Boy?
Oh, I played a ton of Tetris on the Game Boy. So when I got my Game Boy, I got the Game Boy in it was in the clear case, and it came with Super Mario Land and Tetris, and it was a Christmas gift one year. And so I had Tetris and I had Super Mario Land, and for the longest time, those were like the only games I had on that. Up until, like I said, I ended up getting Pokemon and Wario Land, and had a good time with those, and Donkey Kong for the Game Boy as well. But Tetris was like kind of the go-to, and I remember playing a lot of that in the car, and then it would get really hard, and I would pause the game, and I would hand it to my dad, who may be in the passenger seat, or my mom, who would be in the passenger seat. And let me tell you something about Tetris. If you have a mother or a woman in your life, they all love Tetris. Every single one of them love Tetris. And my mom almost took my Game Boy away from me to play Tetris at times. Like, it is a good game. And in all honesty, is like one of the most approachable titles ever in gaming. And is an experience that anyone of any age can play. I mean, you've heard tons of stories of just like, Japanese businessmen walking around in their suits playing their Game Boys, and Tetris was like the only thing that they would end up playing on their commutes or on their flights. And it's just because like if even the Japanese businessmen can set aside some time to experience some leisure, it's going to be one of those games that's going to live in the pantheon of greatness for a good long while. But Tetris is good. It's genuinely a good game. There's a reason we got stuff like Tetris 99 today.
That's true. It is. And I just played so much Tetris on the Game Boy. So much of it. It came with it. I got the original Game Boy that came with Tetris. I got it when it came out. Played so much of it. Like the Game Boy, it was like one of those things where you would just, as soon as you fail, you could just keep going, right? Because you're like, well, I'll just do one more run. It's not going to take that long. I mean, it did take a while, but then it turns out you just get sucked right in and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like it a lot. Tetris on the Game Boy. Shout out to it. Number 82, we've got 999. That's right. We've got 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors on the Nintendo DS. This is one of those games where you're doing a lot of reading. You're doing a lot of talking, a lot of solving, a lot of mystery, a lot of mayhem. Something about just games solving puzzles on the DS. You got the top screen, the bottom screen, words on one screen, so much action. Not quite action, but stuff happening on the top screen. What did you think of 999?
I freaking love 999, and I did not play this game until this last year, and I got sucked in so hard. It was last January that I started playing this game and realized, wait a second, I missed out on one of the greatest DS experiences of all time. And then it later developed into, the Zero Time Dilemma, Zero Escape games, the franchise that we got. But it was like, it was revolutionary for me to experience this because I realized what like visual novel storytelling mixed with escape room mechanics could be in a video game. Because I'm not like the biggest visual novel fan by any means. Like visual novels are fine in most cases. They're just fine. In my opinion, for the longest time, I would not have argued that those are even games, that those are reading experiences with some visual assistance that's going on. But when you incorporate the puzzles and the escape room element of this into this, it makes a revolutionary title all that much more great. I love the story in this game. I love the twists and turns. I love the multiple endings that you can get. And I will tell you straight up, like I got so addicted to this game, I went through it trying to get every single ending, and I finally did. I finally figured out how to properly do the escape portion of that game because it's not obvious and it's genuinely hard, and sometimes it feels monotonous because you're going back through the same story beats over and over again. But every time you re-enter that, every time you go through it and you try something new, you learn something new about the characters, and you're like, wait a second, I didn't know that about that character, and yet I was partnered up with them in my first run, blah, blah, blah. Mind-blowing stuff, boggling stuff, and it is good, and it is great, and the artwork is, I mean, it's anime, like it's anime illustrations, but it's still so freaking good. And then they did a re-release of it years later where it had full voice acting, and that kind of revolutionized that even more, but I prefer my original DS version of it where in my head, people can sound like any way they want to. I don't have a voice actor telling me what that person sounds like. And so I can assign their personalities. Game's really good. Storylines bonkers and good. And I just cannot recommend this game enough.
Yeah. It's definitely, especially with it when it came out being like one of like the earlier games, like of games doing that, like more and more games have done it since, where they kind of like go through that whole like webbed, almost like choose your own adventures. I mean, they had it with the Famicom Detective Club, stuff like that, but the way they do it with this is like more like gives you more of a reason to replay through the same game and get different results, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, number 81, we've got Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages, and Oracle of Seasons. My goodness, there it is. It's finally there. Is this our first Zelda game?
This is our first, yes, this is our first Zelda game, and we kind of cheated a little bit because we put them side by side, because they do tell a little bit of a different story, but they go hand in hand, and your save carries over from one to the other, and it affects some things in it. So we thought it was important to kind of put them both here. In the way that we
would be like putting Pokemon Yellow and Blue together.
Yeah.
Or separate.
Yep.
But yeah, this is on the Game Boy. Special puzzle, right? On the Game Boy, a dungeon that you can only, I mean, you could solve it on the original Game Boy, but in color it makes so much more sense rather than just
that's Link's Awakening. That's Link's Awakening. This game did not have so this was a Game Boy Color exclusive.
This was only on Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
I got it mixed up. Yeah. No, but wasn't originally this, like, there was a rumor that it was supposed to be 3 games.
I had heard that rumor, but I don't know if that's, you know how like schoolyard rumors start up, right? Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's like what it was. That was the things kids on the street were saying, that it was supposed to be 3. I don't know. It was Seasons. I don't know what the other one would have been. Ages, Seasons, and Greetings.
Yeah, there we go.
I have no idea. I had no idea. The other one you just played as Santa. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed these games. I played through both of them back like when they first came out, and then I played through them again on the Game Boy or on the 3DS, like on the download on the 3DS. But yeah, I enjoyed these games. What about you? Did you play them at all?
I did. I enjoyed the heck out of Oracle of Seasons. This was the one that I had was Oracle of Seasons growing up. I tell the story all the time about how I got my Game Boy Color, and with it I got Pokemon Silver. And my cousin also got a Game Boy Color that same year, and with it he got Pokemon Gold. And like our parents cooked that year. Like they got us the ability to trade back and forth. We had a link cable. We were able to just experience all the exclusive Pokemon from both generations. And it was a really good time. But the thing that I often leave out is the fact that also that same year I got Oracle of Seasons and he got Oracle of Ages. So we were able to kind of swap back and forth the cartridges as we had the opportunity to, and kind of get to experience both of the games in the way that it was supposed to be experienced. Love Oracle of Seasons. I mean, it's your traditional Link's Awakening, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past kind of battle experience. This one's made by Capcom and at the same time too. So like Capcom worked on a lot of Zelda games back in the day. But they really cooked with this game. It was so good. It was so freaking good. And solving all the puzzles, because, certain times of the year you could only go and do certain events because, the season needed to be exactly right. And you've got the staff that allows you to change it if you go and jump on a stump. These games were good. They were very, very good. And I think they're oft forgotten in the Legend of Zelda as far as the pantheon of Legend of Zelda games go. People kind of gravitate toward A Link to the Past or A Link Between Worlds or Ocarina of Time or, insert your favorite Zelda game here. And not many people say like this is their favorite. But this is one of those ones that I think people should experience, especially if you come off of the heels of Link's Awakening and you're wanting an experience that's very similar to that, because they have a very similar vibe as well.
Right. And this is, like you said, made by Capcom. You could definitely tell that they played the Zelda games and were like, oh, they knew what made a Zelda game, and they nailed it with these. And then further down the line, nailed it again with maybe either further below or up higher. And no one knows where it is on the list. We'll never
know. We're not telling until later on as we get through this list.
Yeah. But yeah. Oracle Ages and Oracle of Seasons. and 80.
Yep.
We're going to go back in time a little bit with The Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Listen, you're going to need to take this because it's quite dangerous out there, okay? Because this was the first Zelda game. They just kind of throw you into it. You got to just figure it out on your own. Don't burn all the bushes because you might get in trouble. But yeah, the original Legend of Zelda game was so much different than Super Mario Brothers. And just playing this game, I was like, oh yeah, I want more of this. I could even tell back then playing Mario, I was like, if only you had it where when you got hit in the on the map, it zoomed into a 2D section, and
no, get that out of here. You stop. I'm gonna take over from here. Legend of Zelda, the original takeout on the Zelda franchise, as far as that goes. You stop that with that Legend of Zelda 2 slander. No, this game is kind of one of those, like, especially this one, it is one of the hardest Zelda games, and it has that same Metroid problem where, like, every single section of the map looks the same, and it's so difficult to do, especially if you don't have the actual manual, because the actual manual does help you in this game. And back in the day when manuals were important.
Manual for details.
Yeah. Like, this is one of those games where, like, having the manual was important. But I remember sitting down and hand drawing my maps for this, very much the way I did the original Metroid. But it is one of those games that, like, it's so open and it really doesn't give you any help, and it is extremely difficult too, because, like, I mean, you're really dealing with just like a little bit of life and a wood sword that, like, yeah, maybe you can find a different sword and you can shoot laser beams across the map with it. It is just hard. It's hard. And that's me saying that as a gamer who's been around since the NES days. But I personally do not have a lot of fondness for this Zelda game, but I understand why it is here and why it is important. Again, just one of those games you have to hand draw your own maps, and was like the de facto, like, quote unquote open world experience without there ever being an actual open world in the modern day sense on an NES. What kind of time did you have with Legend of Zelda as a kid, Chris? How did you enjoy it, and have you went back to play it in recent years? Because I have, and I still have a hard time with it.
I love Legend of Zelda. I went through and beat it as a kid, but it was, because I was getting a new game on my birthday and at Christmas, and no more than that before we started renting games. But yeah, I had this. I played a lot of it. I enjoyed it immensely. And I think probably the Wii U, when it came out on the Wii U, like, Virtual Console, is probably the last time I went back and played it a lot. Like, I played it some when it came out, like, on the Switch classics and NSO classics, but definitely the last time I really gave it a go was probably on the Wii, for sure.
My closest, most recent experience is the Nintendo World Championships NES edition that came out.
Oh, yeah. That definitely had memories flooding back when playing that.
Yep.
Because, yeah, that definitely did that. But yeah, Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Next up, we got a Nintendo Wii game. This was World of Goo, coming in at number 79. World of Goo was another puzzle game where you use the pointer controls to kind of get this goop, and you had to have them connect. It's kind of like building a tower of sticks with goo, and you had to get from the bottom up to the top, and you had to get these little goo creatures and have them go get sucked up into the pipes, and in order to get them to go up to the pipes, you had to build these structures with the goo without, like, it's almost like the bridge simulator, but you were building upward, and that's what you were doing, and you were getting the goo to get up there. And yeah, this I had a lot of fun with this game, played it a lot. I don't know about you, but World of Goo, love that game.
I didn't play this one a whole lot because this was this was like a Wii launch era title, pretty close to the launch of the Wii.
One of the first like digital only games.
Yep. I played a lot of this though a few years later when it came to iOS, and that's where I had most of my experience with World of Goo was playing it on my phone, and I thought it translated extremely well with just like the touchscreen mechanics and being able to drag your goop around. But you know, you're pretty spot on. Like, this is a unique experience, has a great art style, a pretty cool soundtrack as far as that goes. But one of the best games that came out on the Wii that utilized the motion controls in a way that didn't feel like it was ham-fisted into the game and baked in. I love this game, and I love the puzzle-solving elements of it's almost got like this poly bridge, like physics-based, like puzzle. You've got to build the right thing to be able to get your goops to go to the right places, and genuinely just like a weird, good, cool experience. And the plus side is, like, this did make a return within the past year to Nintendo Switch. So if you're wanting to try this game out and you haven't had the chance to, and you don't have any of the older consoles with it on it, you can try it out on a Nintendo console that way. But World of Goo, I think, deserves its place on this list at 79 for sure.
For sure. I like that a lot. That was number 79 on the Wii. World of Goo. What do we got next? Number 78. Number 78, we got Super Mario 3D Land. This is a great game. I loved the 3D aspect of it. I loved the idea of kind of playing Mario in 3D on the 3DS screen, because I played this, I don't know about you, but I played this 100% with 3D at full blast, playing it, and loved every second of it. What about you?
This is one of the only games I played with the 3D turned on as I was going through, because like the 3DS, like, it was so difficult, and a lot of times like the games weren't really formatted well for it, and they didn't look great on it, like, but or they didn't utilize it hardly ever, so turning it off wasn't even a big deal. But in Super Mario 3D Land, Nintendo understood the importance of utilizing the 3D on a 3D console, this glasses-free technology, in a way that no other developers really did, and they did it extremely well in Super Mario 3D Land. Like, some of the puzzles are nigh unsolvable without the 3D turned on. And I say this through experience, because every year during Mario Mania, I end up not being able to play this game on original hardware and have to play it because I'm trying to play it for the people to be able to see and watch as we're completing the story of Mario in all of the canon Mario games. But I love this game, and I love its sequel, Super Mario 3D World, but I love Super Mario 3D Land a whole heck of a lot. And it's a short game. It's a good experience. The 3D in it's good. You had the return of the Tanuki tail for the first time in years. The level design in it is great. The soundtrack is another Koji Kondo amazing soundtrack. Genuinely a good game, really good experience, and great use of the 3D for like one of the first times ever in terms of what they did on the 3DS. One of the only good uses of 3D, and I know that sounds like blasphemy, but you know, hey, I have my opinions. You can have yours. But I've played a ton of this game and can wholeheartedly recommend that. It definitely deserves its place on this list. 78, Super Mario 3D Land.
Super Mario 3D Land, absolutely. Then we've got number 77, Animal Crossing Wild World. I don't know about you, but I played tons of Animal Crossing Wild World. Now, this was a game that just the idea of being able to play it with, like, because I think this is the last game, right? Is this? You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the last game where the world is moving under you, and you're not like now you run along the world, but in I think this game and the first one,
Was
the
City Folk
world
different? I can't remember if City Folk was different, and I can't remember which one came out first, this or City Folk.
That's a good question.
Hopefully someday we'll be able to know the answer to it, us being the professionals on the stream. So, but no, I think you're right. Like this is one of the last ones, if not the last one, that had like the globe trotting mechanics, where like you're kind of like a static character on a globe, and the globe is moving under you while you're kind of like gliding across it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't do it in City Folk.
Okay, so it is the last one. You're right, Chris.
Yeah, I was right. Look at that. Bada bing, bada bang. Definitely a game I sunk a lot of time into, even with without like the Nintendo DS connection. Is that what it was called?
I do believe so.
Nintendo D. I've always been a big fan of connections. You know this about me, and I loved being able to play online. But even without
might be known as the connection guy.
Depends who you talk to. Okay, let's not bring it up. It's a sore subject. But based on even without online, I even without like my time played online, just my single player hours that I played so much of Wild World. I loved my time with it. I loved going around getting villagers. This was like one of the first games I started like going online and looking to see like what I could potentially have in my village, and it was a lot of fun. What about you?
I love this game. This was the first Animal Crossing I sunk a lot of time into, and part of it is I think Animal Crossing in and of itself lends itself very well to being a portable game. That's why I like New Leaf. That's why I like New Horizons. That's why I like Wild World. All of those games. That's why I like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. All of those games, because everything that you do in that game is so easy to just pick up and do for a couple of minutes and then sit it down to the side and you come back later. And the real world element of it is so important to it that if I don't have access to it during a specific time, it's a little frustrating because you want to experience all of the things that you can do.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But Animal Crossing Wild World was the first Animal Crossing I pumped a ton of time into, to the point that like it became a problem because I wanted to play it whenever I was in the car, and it gave me such bad motion sickness because of the way the game looked.
Really?
Yes, where my static character is there and the globe is moving, but if I'm in a car and the car is also moving, it made me car sick really badly. So I ended up not playing a lot of it on the go, but just when we would park or when we were out and about somewhere. I love this game. And it was so good. And it's like the aesthetic of this one is so different, but at the same time so tied to the GameCube version of that game. Like it is very good. It is an all-star Animal Crossing entry in the franchise, and cannot recommend this one enough. If you've never experienced it, it's a good one. It is a good one.
For sure. Like it a lot. That was number 77. Now we're dropping down or up to 76 with DuckTales. Woo! On the Nintendo Entertainment System, not the Game Boy, but the NES. DuckTales it's one of my favorite NES games. One of my favorite, you could even just say one of my favorite licensed games of all time. But yeah, DuckTales on the NES, a lot of fun. Loved it. Capcom knocked it out of the park with this one. Loved the music. I love like the pogo stick. I feel like you could even say Hollow Knight. Also, the developers of Hollow Knight also loved DuckTales based on... And, Shovel
you could
Knight.
also say the developers of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze with the Cranky Kong mechanics love DuckTales.
Right. And yeah, Shovel Knight and just, yeah. It was, definitely a game I had a lot of fun playing and going back to. I mean, because we even talked about like whenever we decided on a game, we were like, okay, but this version or this version,
Mm-hmm.
and we even talked about the original versus the HD remaster, and this is the one we went with because it's just so dang good.
It really is. The music in it's so good. I mean, it comes from the Capcom heyday of just like licensed platformers that were coming out from them, and it shares a lot of relation with Mega Man, and I do love Mega Man a whole heck of a lot. You can kind of see a lot of that inspiration in here. But the soundtrack in this is so good. The way they translated the DuckTales theme song to 8-bit back in the day. The Moon theme song in this game is so good. And I know I'm just sitting here praising the music, but you're right. Like the mechanics of actually going through and trying to pogo your way all the way through every single level is just so freaking good. It's a good time playing as Scrooge McDuck. Are you okay? You sound like you're dying over there.
I am. I started laughing, and I can't laugh with my throat. But I wasn't laughing. Anyway, yeah, it was so good. All the different levels, I like playing through all of the different levels. It was a lot of fun, and thoroughly enjoyable. It definitely one of my favorite games, and I mean, here it is, number 76, DuckTales. Now we move to the final list, the final game for tonight, number 75. Number 75 is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Our first pass through on the list didn't have any Xenoblade games, and then we went through and went ahead.
We felt bad about it.
Yeah, we corrected our mistake. And Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I'm going to say this one. It was between this and 3 for me, and you were not that big of a fan of 3.
I like 3 a whole lot more than 1, and I like 2. I think more than both of those, but I like X more than all of them. Like Xenoblade Chronicles X was my choice, but I gave because I do enjoy Xenoblade Chronicles just in general, and I think that if we were to pick one of them and we had to say this is the like definitive one that you should go and experience and try out, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is an important one to try out. Like it is fantastic, like weird turn-based, but at the same time kind of like auto battle or mechanics with like all of these like combos that you can do that are like set on this hotbar down below you. It's got a really cool storyline. It's the introduction of the Omniblade, or whatever the heck the actual weapon is called. I keep calling it the Omniblade. What the heck is the weapon called? The Monado, right?
The Monado, yeah.
I
think this was originally called Monado, wasn't it?
I don't remember, because I only remember GameStop getting it as Xenoblades.
Yeah, well, like the working title was like Xeno working title yeah.
Xenomonato. Honestly, that one kind of like rolls off the tongue a little bit better than Xenoblade.
Yeah. But definitely want to pick this game up, and if nothing else, it'll help you get better at Shulk in Smash Brothers.
Understanding what all the symbols actually mean and how they affect you. Just a good crazy bonkers storyline, and like a graphical powerhouse for the Wii. I mean, its generation, when it came out, this was revolutionary. And I could say that about just about every game that Monolith Soft puts out. Like every single game they ever put out, it's like, oh man, that's impressive on that console. And I still feel that way about Xenoblade, and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on the Switch is even a higher upgrade than the original version of it, and want to recommend it to just about everybody. But this one definitely deserves its place on the list at 75th, the 75th game for our recommendations. Christopher, how are you feeling?
Yes.
We've made it through the first 26 games. We've got another 3 parts that are going to be coming at the people over the next couple of weeks. Anything else you want to say about any of these games from the first 26?
I liked them all. They're definitely all good. Go check them out. I don't know if you've heard of them. If you haven't, give them a go.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
We're going to dive real quickly. You want to give the rundown super fast for the games that are coming out to the people, right? And I would assume that you want to do it as fast as possible. Let me get them opened up, actually, because I don't have them opened up right now. But
okay.
all the games that are coming out this week that you need to care about are going to be happening in just like 2 seconds here for Christopher. And I'm going to play the bumper now. All right, take it away, Chris.
Oh my goodness. Divinity Original Sin 2 came out on the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. It is a free upgrade pack if you already have it on the Switch. You get it on Switch 2. Divinity Original Sin 2, they just announced Divinity at the Game Awards, so here you go. Go ahead and grab it. It's on sale now for $24.99, but usually $49.99. And it came out yesterday. Then we had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Came out today on December 16th for $32.49. The upgrade pack is $2.49. This is one of those ones where in Japan that's the minimum that you have to charge, so they just charge everyone for it, even though you don't have to charge it here. They decided to, so if you want to give them the extra $2.50, go for it. Then the Rogue Prince of Persia came out today, $29.99. It is on sale on the Switch 2 for $20.09. The Switch 1 version is not on sale. However, if you get the Switch 2 version, you also get the Switch 1 version. So there's that. The A-Train All Aboard Tourism Nintendo Switch 2 edition is coming out on December 18th for $66.99. The Switch version is also available for $59.99, and the upgrade pack is $6.99. Then we've got Cast and Chill Nintendo Switch 2 edition coming out December 18th for $14.99. The Switch edition is already out, and this is a free upgrade. System Shock coming out December 18th, $39.99 for the Nintendo Switch 2. Factorio is out on December 22nd, and it is $35. It's that price everywhere. It's an odd price. Anyway, it's a free upgrade. If you own the Switch version already, you get the Switch 2 version. Give it a go. And then we've got the Nintendo Classics. Wario World for the GameCube came out. It's exclusive to the Switch 2, obviously, because the GameCube games are only on there. And then on the N64, we've got Rayman 2, The Great Escape, and Tonic Trouble. So go ahead and give those a go when they come out on December 17th.
Oh my gosh. That was the fastest fast forward we've ever done. A lot of games. Holy crap. I was not prepared for how fast I was going through there. I didn't even have time to have System Shock on the screen, and you had already moved on to Factorio. Oh, man. Factorio mention says Ned in the live chat here, by the way. Just for the people. Silksong DLC announcement. Big deal. We'll talk about it here in a moment in the Extra Nintendo News. But before we throw it over to the Extra Nintendo News, we do have another segment in the show called the Pixel Minute, or Pixmin for short. In this segment, Chris must try to guess a game that is based on a screenshot that's extremely blurry that will take 60 seconds to reveal itself. And this game was in fact released this week in Nintendo history. The faster he guesses it, the faster or the more points he's going to get on the board. Chris, let me know if you're ready for your Pixmin. Are you ready for me to feed you, Daddy?
I'm ready. Once you get it on the screen. What feed?
Don't judge me. Oh, you said you were ready. I didn't even turn on my camera for you. Here it comes. All right. In 3.
I'm ready when you're ready.
2. 1. Let's go.
Okay. It is a lot of red. Okay. Is it?
So it might be a hard one. It might be a hard one, sir.
No. I've been told it is a hard one. It looks like it might just be a title screen.
It's not a title screen.
Okay, it looks like it could be a car with
It's
a
not a
license
car.
plate. Okay, it's a wrestling ring.
Yes.
Is it Fire Pro Wrestling
It's
on
not.
the GBA?
No, it's not Fire Pro Wrestling on the GBA.
Is it
It's Pikachu.
is it the Pro Wrestling, the Japanese? It's WCW NWO Revenge.
Nope. No, not WCW NWO Revenge.
Is it All Pro Wrestling?
You were very close, sir. You were getting so close.
It's like the Japanese
yeah.
only wrestling game that was
Yeah.
made by, but I don't remember the name of it. All Spirits Wrestling? I don't remember.
No, sir. So the title of this title, was Virtual Pro Wrestling 64. So
Yeah.
this was a professional wrestling video game released in 97 on the N64 and the second game in the Virtual Pro Wrestling series. However, while this game was only released in Japan and it is the Japanese counterpart to WCW versus NWO World Tour. The game features wrestlers from World Championship Wrestling, but also includes generic renditions of wrestlers from major Japanese promotions such as New Japan Pro Wrestling and All Japan Pro Wrestling, a feature that would continue following the release of its sequel, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, Orokeisho. Released December 19th, 1997 in Japan only. I knew it was going to be a hard one. I almost regretted doing it because I didn't realize it until we were getting the show going that this was a Japanese only title. And when I saw that, I went, oh no, this one's going to be a hard one. So I told you it was going to be a hard one because I didn't have time to prep another one because I didn't have time to look at the history of video games. Otherwise, the game
And then you were like, it's going to be a hard one. I said, what, did this only come out in another country or something?
Yeah, you did. You did say that. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to say one way or the other whether or not it is. So I apologize. I apologize. Just, hey, it's basically WCW versus NWO World Tour. Is what they say. Is what they say on the wiki. So that brings us to the last segment of the show, the extra Nintendo news. For my Nintendo, you can snag a printable Metroid Prime 4 Beyond official box art cover for 10 platinum points that you can print at home. I don't know who that's for because I think it already comes with box art when you buy the game physically. But there's also a new Metroid Prime 4 Beyond wallpaper for download for 50 platinum points. And on that front, in the Metroid family of things, you can also snag a holographic poster set featuring artwork of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond for 1,000 platinum points. And those prints are actually really, really sick. It's 2 prints that look amazing. In NSO icons, reminder that Kirby Air Riders icons are in rotation, and these will rotate on Wednesdays until December 25th. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond icons are here, and they'll rotate weekly until January 3rd. We got another wave of special Animal Crossing icons featuring Isabelle, KK Slider, Brewster, and Jingle available until January 5th. New ones, Pokemon Legends ZA icons are here, and they'll be here until January 4th. You can snag Mega Chestnut, Mega Greninja, and Mega Delphox just by playing, and they'll be issued kind of like the Splatoon icons are. They'll eventually show up in your list of things that you can use as icons on NSO. There's also a new wave of holiday icons to spread that Christmas cheer. These rotate weekly until Christmas, and the monthly play and redeem icons are Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid 2 Return of Samus sets. Play corresponding games anytime this month to claim them during December. For Nintendo Music, pretend you're in an auto-scrolling shoot-'em-up level in a Game Boy platformer on your next drive by listening to the latest soundtrack to hit Nintendo Music, Super Mario Land. You can also view your year in review on the platform to see your most played songs and playlists. It's neat. I kind of like it. It's cool. I listened to a lot of Nintendogs in July. The entire Mega Man collection of video games on the Switch is currently up for sale for up to 75% off. Save on games like Mega Man, Mega Man 0 and ZX, and Mega Man X Legacy collections, as well as Mega Man 11 in demos. We got a big one this week. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade has gotten a demo that you can play and see how the game runs on your console. It's beautiful. It's really good, and it's awesome. In terms of events, there's really nothing of note unless you're playing the Emerald Rush DLC on Donkey Kong Bonanza. And in news highlights, the Virtual Boy accessory for Switch and Switch 2 have hit the site for pre-order. As of this show, it is still available for $99.99 if you want the big plastic physical version. But there's also a cardboard version available for $24.99. At the Game Awards, we got Phasmophobia announced for Switch 2 coming in 2026. We also got multiple other announcements and reveals. Leon Kennedy coming to Resident Evil Requiem. Pragmata is coming to Switch 2 with an amiibo, which is crazy. I don't know how they got that. A new look at Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Mia Jovovich is a celebrity target in Hitman World of Assassination. We got new 007 First Light trailer featuring Lenny Kravitz as the main villain. South of Midnight coming to Switch 2. Orbitals, a new asymmetrical co-op game launching for Switch 2 in 2026. Out of Words confirmed for Switch 2. Mega Man returning. This was like a big reveal.
2027.
Yep, returning with a brand new entry for the Switch 2 in 2027. We got a new Warframe trailer, and we got a new look at the Super Mario Galaxy movie. We also got First 4 Figures announcing a new Decayed Master Sword statue that you can pre-order later on this month. And then I'm gonna tee it up for you. Tell the people about the Silk Song DLC, Christopher, for that last little bit of extra Nintendo news.
Oh yeah. Well, so we got the for in terms of the DLC, it's coming out in 2026. It is a free expansion for everybody. And we're going to get it with, what is it called? Sea of Crabs? Mr. Krabs?
Sea of Sorrow.
Yeah, Sea of Sorrow. And it is going to be a brand new story expansion, and it's free to everybody. So if you bought the game, you get it. It'll be out on everything. And I'm very excited for it. How do you feel about getting a new... You didn't finish it, right?
I have to put in more time into Silk Song. I'm not gonna lie. I feel horrible about it, but there's just been this onslaught of video games that have came out that I felt like I had to review, or that I had to play through to be able to like actually officially talk about them on here. And then like literally Silk Song kind of got replaced by Pokemon. And I didn't even enjoy Pokemon as much as I liked Silk Song, but pretty crazy that we're going to be getting some Silk Song DLC free for all players, which is awesome.
Right.
So.
And then also on top of that, we are getting Hollow Knight. The first Hollow Knight is getting a Switch 2 edition for free. So you'll be getting that as well. That's coming in 2026.
Exciting times.
Yeah, so it might be a good time to go ahead, dive back in. That'll be fun. It's basically the Switch 2 edition. It's already out now because like the PC beta branch got an update too, so they kind of added like different aspect ratios support, and it's basically setting it up for Hollow Knight Silk 2, so you'll be able to have the high frame rate modes, high resolution, and additional graphical effects. So that'll be fun.
Absolutely. Well, listen, everybody, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Chris, where can they find you, my good sir?
You can just find my link tree and then go from there.
Absolutely. And you can find me over at twitch.tv/NerdWirePlays occasionally, or go to my website at nerdwireplays.com for all my social media garbage. Please make sure that you go check out all of our social media pages over at NintendoRewind.com. And if you want to catch every episode of this podcast, remember this is part 1 of a 4-part series of our top 101 games on Nintendo consoles of all time. Don't miss it. We're live Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Twitch and on YouTube. Drop a subscribe, drop a follow, whatever you need to do. Come follow us wherever you need to follow us just to keep up with the show. Is there anything else I need to plug? I don't think so. Remember, we love your faces.
Next week.
Yep.
Part
next
2
week.
of the list.
Part 2, we're going to go through 74 to 50 of the top 101 games. Don't miss it. Remember, please be kind and rewind, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
Toodaloo.